HALALYAM YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM QADASH MASHAYACH LAHA SHALAKYAM WAZAQUANYAM Shall great millstone that rule well and teach well. Shalom wa barakyam al-habachayar. I don't want to know if we're part of that number. Shalom, you see, brother and fellow servant Arya from the GMS Orlando camp. And I want to do a quick lesson through the spirit dealing with remembering YAHAWADAH YAHAWASHI while the evil days have not yet come. All right, I'll think of a title as well afterwards. But one thing I want to kind of zero in on is this verse in Ecclesiastes, dealing with the monetary system of Babylon. But we'll start at the top because there's some other things that we can go into as well. So Ecclesiastes chapter 12, or Qoheleth 12:1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. Right, so we'll go to this precept first in Isaiah. This is the book of Isaiah or Yeshaya, not this. 55 and verse 6. Seek ye the Lord Yahweh while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Okay. And we go into this all the time. This indicates that not only this verse, but the one we just read in Ecclesiastes clearly indicates that there will be a time where the Lord is not near, not so easily and freely accessible. Right now is when the Lord's mercy is open unto us, unto the elect. Lord's will, we're part of that number. And we tell our people, whoever you are, of the house of Israel, Lord's will, we pray and we hope and we work out our own salvations with fear and trembling, that we may be of that number that will be bestowed his mercy, but we don't know. So we need to be seeking him now while he may be found, because you don't want to be one of the 2/3 that end up asked out. Okay? Because evil days are coming, and evil and only evil. Okay? Them years draw nigh. The days where it's no more comforts, no more amenities, no more jobs, no more, and it's going into it, right? So verse 2. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Now, the scriptures mention that a couple times about the sun, moon, and the stars not giving their light. All right, and that further indicates that's a further description of the day of the Lord's wrath. So Isaiah Yeshaya 13 and verse 9. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh. See, so we know that it's talking about the day of the Lord. This is prophecy. While the sun, the moon, the stars be not darkened. All right, meaning the days of evil, the day of the Lord's wrath. Right? All right. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. So the sun, the moon, and the stars not giving their light. Now remember, these are ordinances of the Lord. They will never be done away with. But these are descriptive. They describe the day of the Lord. They describe a very dark, malicious time in the earth that's coming, to the point where the darkness will be so thick that you'll be able to taste it, just like in ancient Egypt. It's not like the moon and the stars were actually disappeared, but what came upon Egypt was complete and utter darkness. Imagine you're in complete pitch black darkness. You can't see your hand in front of you, but you can see monstrous apparitions appear just to haunt you, just to trouble you. That's what the ancient Egyptians were dealing with. That's how the Lord was plaguing ancient Egypt. And that's how he's going to plague Babylon again. So what it's reiterating, what it is, describing and going into is this day is very evil. So what you need to do is, our big brother Isaiah had a title, when the world goes dark, will you have the light? Will you have the light? Because the light is like BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Is your lantern going to be trimmed with oil? Will you be of the wise versions or the foolish? That's what it's about. So, and there's some more, but that's the point. Verse 3, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Now, this right here is going into the economic sector of Babylon, going into the finances, the dollar, the currency system, and Wall Street, the stock market. The keepers of the house, these money men, they're going to be trembling because all their investments will come to naught. These people that invested in the housing market, these people that invested in these different stocks, these different companies going to go out of business, going to file for bankruptcy. You're not going to get a return on your investments. You're going to lose all that money that you put in crypto. All right. And eventually everything's going to go to that RFID chip. And if you don't take that, then you're not going to get nothing. All right. Everything is going to be transferred to the digital system. But on top of that, on top of having to take the MOTB, which is going to condemn you to complete destruction, irreversible, but also the value is going to drop. You might have $10,000 in your bank account. Once the MOTB is implemented, that $10,000 is going to end up translating to the digital currency. It's going to be worth, it may be 10,000 USD, but it's going to be worth like 5,000, half or less. Okay, because the value of this American currency is dropping every single day. Let's grab this real quick. So the AI overview for how the dollar is losing value. It says the dollar loses value due to factors like higher U.S. inflation, narrower interest rate gaps with other countries, making dollar assets less attractive. Because nobody wants to deal with America no more. All right. No one wants to invest in everything is already outsourced and imported anyway. Okay. Made in China. But then you have the BRICS nations. They're going off the gold standard, off of real value. They're not dealing with this paper fiat currency no more. All right. And all these things that's happening is in an effort to cut out Babylon, this bully, from the equation, because the world is seeing that this nigga Esau, the self-proclaimed white man, is a deceiver, is a damn devil, and he's not for the benefit of, global interests and the betterment of the people and the world at large. They mismanage resources. They really are. They only care about themselves. All the truces and covenants and deals that they made with all these other people, they broke them. They went back on their word. All right, they only care about themselves. Especially you see the pride of this devil Trump, he embodies that. He embodies the Babylonian, the Edomite way. All these tariffs and speaking proudly, saying, yeah, we're the best and no one can do it like us. And, you know, we're going to own this and we're going to, you know, made in the USA and all this lofty speech. When in reality, nigga, your empire is circling the drain. Right? It says increased U.S. government debt and political trade policies like tariffs that reduce foreign confidence in U.S. assets. While the dollar index measures value against other currencies, it's losing purchasing power against goods, services, and assets like gold due to these pressures, with expectations for continued weakness driven by economic uncertainty and diverging monetary policies. All right. Higher inflation erodes purchasing power while anticipated Fed rate cuts reduce returns on U.S. bonds, pushing investors to seek higher yields elsewhere. Confrontational stances on trade, tariffs, and perceived pressure on the Federal Reserve's independence undermine confidence in U.S. governance and assets. Global instability, coupled with U.S. specific issues, has diminished the dollar's role as a primary safe haven, leading some investors and central banks to diversify away from it. You know, gold prices have risen significantly, meaning it takes more dollars to buy an ounce of gold, indicating a loss of value in gold-denominated terms. Right, gold and silver. You know, brother's been watching the prices go up and up and up. You're shit out of luck with this US dollar. All right, because it was never valuable in the first place. It was just paper, green paper that the nigga just prints. You know, this Federal Reserve, this private, you know, these private Edomites just making up a fucking game of monopoly, and through violence and force, he's been able to force the world to play by his rules. And he's the game master. He could just do whatever he wants and go back on, change the rules. Well, now the tables are turning. All right, them days is over. Right. Another thing, you got the housing market. Okay, which is also leading to, you know, 15-minute cities and owning nothing. All right, being little just drones in society, and eventually not having a job, but just getting a UBI on that RFID hip of that digital currency just to get the basic necessities, but you're living as a complete slave, more so than how you are now, because you're going to be tracked and traced. Your carbon emissions will be limited. Your freedoms will be limited. All right. Your range of travel will be limited. Your internet access will be limited. Your voice, the so-called freedom of speech, that shit's gonna be limited. All right. Well, everything. You're gonna be under this devil's control. At least that's his intent. Right? So dealing with the housing market specifically, that's another thing where, okay, the money is going, all the investments is going down the drain. You had, you know, BlackRock, Blackstone Group, Invitation Homes, Vanguard Group, I'm reading a list, State Street Global Advisors, Pretium Partners, Amherst Holdings, Cerberus Capital Management, Progress Residential, all these different shareholders and housing investors, major companies that have played a part in raising housing prices, inflating the housing market. Let me read a couple of these. So they bought, Blackstone Group, they bought tens of thousands of homes after 2008, often in cash, right? And a lot of these are Amalekite Amalekites. Okay, they are one of the largest single-family home investors in the world. They had a large impact on home prices, maybe even more so than BlackRock. All right, what they do is they go and they buy all these houses. They buy out whole neighborhoods, a lot of Jake neighborhoods. All right, raise up the prices and turn them into, instead of being a house that you can actually buy and invest in and own, right? They turn it into a rental property. Okay. There's some other groups that says they drive up prices through bulk purchases. They raise rents faster than local incomes. Through capital concentration, they influence housing indirectly. Use algorithmic pricing and bulk acquisition strategies. Okay. Converted owner-occupied homes into long-term rentals, focusing on working-class neighborhoods. Acquired large housing portfolios through foreclosure purchases. Competes directly with individual home buyers. A lot of them targeting single-family homes. All right. These companies didn't act illegally in most cases, but their scale changed the market. Cash offers outbid families. Bulk buying entire neighborhoods. Reducing supply for owner-occupiers. Rent maximization algorithms. And financialization of housing. Homes treated as assets, not shelter. Even a small percentage of homes bought by institutions can dramatically affect prices in tight markets. And something interesting, because I did this on a ChatGPT. I started getting into that because it is a useful tool that brother's been using. Now it randomly asked me at the end, if you want, I can discuss biblical or ethical critiques of land monopolization. That was one of the things. It said, break this down city by city, explain how zoning plus Wall Street interact, show data on institutional, blah, 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 blah. And then the last one was discuss biblical or ethical critiques of land monopolization. Now, why the fuck would it ask me that? Okay? Why would it ask me that? We know what it is, but, I just thought, I was like, what, why would it ask someone that? But we know what it is, because they watching, they know. So I said, okay, discuss it. And it actually went into it. And we know that it's AI learning software. So the interactions that it's had with brothers steered it in the direction that it's been taking. You know what I'm saying? So the knowledge that it has is really from what brothers have been putting out. So that's why I was reading this and I was surprised. So it said, land belongs to God, not elites. Leviticus 25 and 23, the land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me. Land in Scripture is not absolute private property, it is a stewardship trust from the Most High. This alone dismantles the idea that land can be endlessly accumulated without moral consequence. Now, as far as the way it worded it, I don't know. Because we have our own land and it will forever be ours. But it is YAHAWASHI Yahawashi's jurisdiction. It is his, he gave it to us. All right. So there's no pride involved, but the land will always and forever be ours. In the kingdom, lands will be, the Lord will divide and give the land unto these different nations. We will have, all the earth will be ours. It's going to go back to that paradise state, Eden, and we will have our land. Our children will have their, inheritance in the land and in the earth forever, right? But going into the law, I see what it's saying. Basically condemning how these Amalekites, right? Because America is supposed to be the land of the free, right? And you're supposed to be able to achieve the American dream and whatnot, but you're not able to do that because they are basically, that's what capitalism is. All right, they're capitalizing, in complete greed, keeping, American citizens, average Babylonian, from ever owning property, forever having their own shit. They will always have to go to the government, go to these private companies, right? So the next one, like I said, some of it is inaccurate, but so I thought it was interesting that it went into it. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. This is one of the clearest biblical condemnations of real estate accumulation. The sin is not ownership, right, but ownership without limit, creating scarcity so others have no place, right? That's exactly what Esau has been doing. And the house to house also is the apartments, the structure of how these houses are being built, whether they're apartments, townhouses, or houses, period. All right, they're still too close. And a lot of people don't have their own land, yards where they can grow their own food. And that's a whole nother topic in itself. The fact that nobody can grow their own natural renewable resources. Okay. Theft without violence is still theft. They covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. Micah 2:2. The other one was Isaiah 5:8, that join house to house. Micah 2:2 is they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. Violence here includes legal manipulation, economic coercion, debt traps, foreclosure systems. Micah condemns elite land seizure cloaked in legality. Next time I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to do it on this phone so you can see it on the screen as I go along. I'm not reading everything, but, just the ones that stood out to me. But if you want to be able to see it. So next time I'll do that. But inheritance is sacred. Proverbs 22:28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. Landmarks define family inheritance. Moving them meant erasing generational continuity. The Bible treats this as moral theft, even if courts allow it. And like I said, why would it want to discuss the biblical and moral themes like ChatGPT? Okay, now people want to go by biblical standards. That's how you know we're at the last days, because, the world, really this AI stuff is a reflection of the populace, because that's what AI learning is. That's what the AI is, right? This was knowledge accumulated through the internet, through all the information that's out there being compiled, right? So some of it can be inaccurate, but a lot of it, especially dealing with, the biblical stuff, the spiritual aspect, is from the Israelites, because we're the ones that really do this. All right. And have the true understanding. So it's been getting at from brothers using ChatGPT and whatnot. So that shows you what the times that we're in and how things is moving. the spirit that the world is moving in. Let me see. YAHAWASHI's direct economic critiques. Landowners exploiting tenants, Matthew 21:33-41. Rent extraction without labor. Hoarding while others starve, Luke 12:15. Take heed and beware of covetousness. Covetousness in scripture includes land hoarding. So basically like a general condemnation of greed and, capitalistic behavior, because it's greed. It's selfish. It's wanting what others have, unjustly ill-gotten gains and whatnot. So it's not wrong. Biblical verdicts summarized. The Bible condemns land monopolization when it displaces families, breaks inheritance, creates artificial scarcity, right, converts shelter into extraction, and concentrates power indefinitely. The consistent judgment is accumulating land at the expense of others invites divine woe. The Bible does not oppose ownership. It opposes ownership without justice, limit, or mercy. So, yeah, that was beautiful for the most part. So continuing, Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Going into how, what is that? Is that, so I can bear with me. Any work. Egypt. Yeah, Isaiah 19:14. The Lord Yahweh power had mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof. Going into spiritual Egypt. That's what America is. Spiritually, Sodom and Egypt, Rome, Greece, Babylon, everything, right? So this is talking about applying to America, Babylon the Great, the current empire that is on the face of that is ruling on the earth. They have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. And that's what's going on. Esau is staggering in his own vomit. He's erring in all his works thereof. All right, he thinks he's really doing something. His pride has deceived him into believing that he's really achieving greatness. He's going to build back better and all this madness. This nigga's staggering because there's bounds he can't pass. And he's reaching them bounds now. All right, he's erring in all his works. His kingdom is divided against itself. Everything, okay? So, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear, because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, which he shaketh over it. All right. Strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders, workers, laborers, cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Just like you were laid off and you were let go, fired during 2020 or whatnot. Salakia. It's going to happen again. It's going to be worse. And now the AI is going to replace you. But don't worry, you'll get a UBI. Just as long as you take you'll get a universal basic income as long as you take that C-HIP. All right, you're not just going to get free money. You'll just live for nothing. You're going to have to give your soul to this damn devil. You're going to have to give your life to this damn devil. And be condemned with him. So, verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Right. These celebrities, these jakes that make all this money in a whole nother tax bracket from the rest of us common jakes, all right, they're gonna be brought low too. All right, they're already complaining, saying that. I mean, look at niggas like Genuine. Look at niggas like, you know, Joe, Jagged Edge. All these guys, no matter how great you think they are, they could be the greatest singers ever. Them niggas still had to perform. They still on stage. They still on them lame ghetto Photoshop posters, trying to bring people to their show and get people to buy tickets and shit. They still on tour. All right, Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, anybody you can mention, they still gotta go on stage and shuck and jive and entertain. They still gotta work. They low. Nobody on that shit no more. Right, so that's pretty much it on that. And then I'll just end it with this, right? Isaiah 24. A lot of it is good. I'm going to just jump to the point. Verse 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Right? And burnt, the fire, just as water, is a cleansing agent. That's what's going to be the purification of the earth with that nuclear fire. All right? The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. It shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. Right? So from the top brass to the lowly, bum on the street. From Esau to Israel. All you people in the world, all you Babylonians, you're going to suffer. All right? Because this is the wrath of the Lord that will come upon you for all your pride. Great misery is going to come upon you. Your system is going to be dismantled, breaking down right before your eyes. And you're feeling the effects of prophecy in your life, in your personal life. Your money is being devalued. Your health is wasting away. Your entertainment is failing you. It's nothing but a bunch of remakes and remasters, and it's the same shit over and over again being recycled. Your food is trash, more GMO, fake. He's trying to make you eat fake lab-grown meat. It's not, bro, it's over for you. It's over. Babylon is done. Hey, hashtag, what them niggas say, hashtag so-and-so is over party. How about Babylon is over party? And we celebrating. All right? That shit is corny, but we are celebrating. We're rejoicing at, the fall of our enemies. We're rejoicing at that. It's a joyful thing to see. Because what it means is that we will be delivered. We're closer. We're one day closer. One prophecy closer to the end of this wicked dominion and the everlasting dominion of YAHAWASHI being established and us being changed, and delivered, and made immortal, and putting you nations into slavery. Thus saith the Lord. So here's the patience and faith of the saints. So I pray this is edifying and exhorting through this written power of YAHAWAH and Yahawashi, the YAHAWAH and HIS, KAYAHAWAH QADASH bestowed upon me to bring out this lesson and push forth this word. Mashanakabad LAHAWASHI was the Kwanyam, a great millstone that rule well and teach well. Shalom wa barakim al habachayar. I don't want to we're a part of that number. And blessings, honor, glory, and power be unto YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, Samyad, YAHAWAH, always and forever. Shalom.